When Dr. Dewey Evans is brought on board as an expert by Operation Hummingbird, he is 67 years old. We know he retired from a 30-year career as a consultant paediatrician in 2009, having worked initially at Morriston Hospital in Swansea, then ending up at Singleton Hospital, which is also in Swansea. This would put him at age 59 or 60 years when he retired, which is a relatively young age. Did something happen at Singleton Hospital to precipitate his relatively early retirement? Was there a falling out with management? Did some incident occur at the neonatal unit at Single Hospital which led to Dr. Evans's decision to retire early? Or did he simply retire early because he'd had enough after 30 years of practice, and he knew that he had this lucrative sideline as an expert witness to keep him going, and perhaps an early pension arrangement with the NHS? I found an article in the Daily Mail dated February 2011 about the death of a baby boy at Singleton Hospital, in which a complaint had been raised by the mother of the baby after the baby's death. The complaint centred on the baby having been placed into an allegedly broken incubator at the hospital, which led the baby boy, who had been previously completely healthy, to die of pneumonia. I'm going to read now from two different articles. The first one from the Daily Mail article. I originally thought that as it's dated 2011, Dewey Evans is no longer there, but it actually relates to a time period before. So I'll begin reading this article now in the Daily Mail. It says, a perfect baby boy, perfect in quotes, died after he was placed in a broken incubator, his grieving parents claimed yesterday. The 15-day-old infant was allegedly put in a faulty device which had a, quote, do not use sticker on it on a busy ward. Health watchdogs revealed that the boy was born, quote, perfect in every way, close quote, in Swansea's Singleton Hospital before being sent home. A week after the birth, the mother and baby were readmitted because the mother was suffering from a chest infection. She was being treated separately by doctors while the baby was put in an incubator. He died a week later. The baby's mother yesterday said that she was taking legal action against the hospital, as she believes a, quote, long list of errors led to his death. The mother of three has received an apology, but believes that not enough has been done to ensure the same mistakes are not repeated. She said, this is the mother, that there were more than 20 failings on the part of the hospital and that he simply didn't receive the care that he should have. The incubator, the mother says, was one of these failings, that it had a sticker on it that it said it should not be used after a certain date, and that my baby, the mother says, was placed in it a month after this date. And the hospital then insists, obviously in response to being contacted by the Daily Mail, the hospital insists that the incubator was in full working order and the sticker was a maintenance reminder. The mother said that it's been a long and painful process and they've received an apology. But earlier on she said that she wanted to take legal action. So this is a formal complaint that's gone in. There's been an initial response from the hospital. So this is like an open complaint. But we don't have a clear sense of when this has happened here from this report, albeit the Daily Mail says it's a report from 2011. But I found a separate report on this, and there are several actually, there's also one in the Mirror, but the most useful one is from Wales Online, in which it stipulates the actual dates involved here. And I'm just going to pause the video a minute. So looking at the Wales Online report, I'll put both links below, the one to the Daily Mail report and the Wales Online report. As I say, there are other reports, including the Daily Mirror, which also asks readers if they know the family involved. Going to the Wales Online report now, I'll read from that. it says, regarding the baby's death, said to have occurred at Swansea's Singleton Hospital last year. We're not actually clear what last year means yet at the moment. The report outlining the family's complaint states, the baby was born perfect in every way. The mother, however, had a chest infection and had to be readmitted. Goes on to say, she took the baby back into the hospital with her, and there are several instances of concern. There was sick on the floor that took days to be cleaned, and the incubator that the baby was placed in had a sticker on it reading, and this is the crucial part, do not use after October 2008. Now we hear from the Daily Mail report that I read from just before, that the mother says the baby was placed a month after the sticker said that you shouldn't be using this incubator, which would give the timings as November 2008 that the baby was in that incubator, because it says in the Wales Online that it's the sticker said do not use after October 2008. So we have then the situation that this is happening in late 2008. So Dr. Dewey Evans is still working as a paediatrician at this hospital with his interest in neonatology, albeit he's not and never has been, and never was a neonatologist per se, that he has said in the past, and it says on his LinkedIn, that he was very much at the spearhead of creating the neonatology service, as it were, albeit he's not a neonatologist, and the neonatology unit at the Singleton Hospital. So he is working there at the time this happens, and at the time this poor baby dies, and at the time this complaint is initially raised by the family. I can't find any further reports. As I said, these are both reports from 2011, but it's about something that happened in late 2008. Just to go back to the beginning of the video, this video here, I was saying that Dr. Dewey Evans retires in 2009. We don't know the month, but it's really only several months then after this incident happened at the hospital, about which there is a formal complaint. The Wales Online article, as you'll see, goes on to talk about other complaints made about the Singleton Hospital, and it gives two examples which are not related to the neonatal unit, but they're both very serious issues that it says in the Wales Online article were resolved internally or resolved locally. Now, was this issue to do with the death of this baby boy that had allegedly been put in a broken incubator? Was that resolved locally? Was there ever a settlement there? Was it kept quiet? Who was implicated in it? Was there any responsibility for the hospital that they came to an arrangement with the parents about this, and there was no further publicity over it, no further reporting over it? I don't know. I can't find any later reports. I'm not saying that Dr. Dewey Evans is in any way implicated with this, or that incubator was in fact broken. There was a complaint made about it, that it may have been broken, or at the very least may have not been properly looked into and looked after. The maintenance wasn't up to date. Is that a possibility? And could that have led to the baby acquiring pneumonia? Could there have been fault there in terms of the hospital's practice? I'm not saying whether Dr. Evans was involved in this directly or indirectly or in whatever way, but we know he was working at the hospital in 2008. He was a paediatrician there, and we know that he retired at a relatively early age, at 59 years old, possibly towards 60, the very next year, a matter of months afterwards. I'm not saying there's a definite connection, I'm just raising it as a question. The mother says that she wanted to take legal action. How was that finally resolved? Was there a so-called local resolution to it? What does that mean? Did they shut down the complaint? Did they unfairly shut down the complaint and essentially cover up a very, very serious error? Was there something wrong with that incubator and it was shut down as a complaint? I can't find any follow-up to it, but we just have this situation where a previously absolutely healthy baby boy is readmitted because the mother is ill, and so the baby's being looked after at the hospital. The baby hasn't gone in because they're ill, but the baby dies as a result of being in that hospital. That's the claim. And that an apology was given, and if an apology was given, what was it given for? These are things we don't know, because we don't know how this complaint was followed up and whether it led to any kind of legal action or any kind of legal settlement between the hospital, the trust, or the health board and the family. If anybody else can find any follow-up to this, I think that might be interesting to look into. Was Evans in any way involved in this? Was there a falling out between Dr. Dewey Evans and the management of Singleton Hospital which precipitated his early retirement, really, the very next year after this baby boy died at the hospital, and a complaint was raised about this death by the parents, and presumably solicitors had been contacted, presumably. Where that went, we don't know in terms of any settlement. I'm not saying Evans was involved, but he does retire soon afterwards. Why does he retire so early? Why has Evans got such animus, such anger towards management as soon as he arrives on the scene in Chester? Why does he take the side of the consultants so fully rather than remaining impartial? And it's very obvious that he expresses this anger that he seems to have towards the management, that they're not listening to the consultants. And he expresses that in a number of interviews that he gives in 2023, post the convictions. They're available online and you can see and hear it. He's disgusted by the management. He's gone in there straight away, batting for the consultants rather than acting as an impartial witness. He's gone in there with an agenda and with an attitude towards management. Is there a source of that dislike of management, of that animus towards management? And has that come from, is that related to a reason or set of reasons why he retired relatively early at the age of 59 or 60, possibly 59 only, from Singleton Hospital after a 30-year career? Or did he simply retire, as I said earlier, because he had this lucrative sideline and he'd had enough with regard to practicing as a paediatrician in the NHS? I think it feels like there's a question around that to me. Something pushed him into that early retirement. Something was going wrong there, I think, possibly going wrong. I shouldn't say it was, in his role there at Singleton Hospital. Possibly. I'd like to know if there's anything else out there about that, if anybody knows anything. Yes, it is supposition. The link to this sad death of this baby boy, about which we don't know what happened in the end in terms of any kind of settlement, might not be in any way connected, but then again it might be. I just thought it was interesting. I want to perhaps make a further video about what happens at Singleton Hospital in 2011, which I think should have informed Evans's approach, if he had been, and if he was an honest broker and an honest so-called expert in his involvement at Chester. What happened at Singleton Hospital in 2011 should have given him pause and should have made him look into certain things much more deeply when he arrives at Chester, rather than being on team consultant right from the beginning and never veering from that. But obviously I think there's a whole load of collusion involved between Evans and the consultant, and prior knowledge from the consultants. There, as I've said many times, it's about proving it, and then you've got the police in the mix as a further element of collusion and strategizing between the group of consultants and Evans. Thank you very much, and if anybody knows anything further about this very sad case of a baby boy passing away at the Singleton Hospital in very late 2008, whilst Dr. Dewey Evans was a consultant paediatrician on that unit, and obviously he was involved in paediatrics as well, so similar to the consultants at the Countess of Chester, they split their time between neonatal and paediatrics, didn't they? Well, thank you very much, and have a good day there.